Today we are looking at not one, not two, but three different variations of sneakers from New Balance to chat about today. Today we are going to be looking at the New Balance 530, the New Balance 740 and the New Balance 1906R as options for your everyday lifestyle needs. So if you're checking out this video, you're probably in the market for a budget-friendly, comfortable and stylish everyday sneaker from New Balance. And I believe that with these three options, you can cover all of your bases and find the perfect shoe for your everyday needs. First of all, welcome. This is Best Foot Forward Shoes. My name is Harrison Cable. Thank you so much for checking out this video. I know the internet is a huge, wide world of sneaker content, so thank you so much for finding this video. I hope you enjoy it. Today we are going to be looking at a bit of a pros and a cons list for each shoe. So the New Balance 530, the 740 and the 1906R are all in a similar kind of mesh 2000s runner vibe. These are retro running shoes that have been brought back for more of a lifestyle use instead of the performance that they were originally designed for. Having that performance background relies on the heritage that these shoes are inherently comfortable and meant for hardcore use, such as walking around all day on your feet for a hospital worker, is constantly having to be on their feet in a retail environment. These shoes are not exactly meant for any sort of trail running or hiking styles. So we're not really going to be covering that today, but we're going to be looking at pros and cons, as I said before, of each one of these shoes and kind of give a bit of a guide as to what kind of shoe that you should get. So let's start with the shoe that, in my opinion, was probably the most worn lifestyle mesh runner from New Balance last year, the 530. What I have here is the Salehi Bembury collaboration on the 530. However, from seeing other regular kind of models, I know that this shoe is basically the exact same materials, just a little bit different branding. So the comfort and the feel is exactly the same, and I can use my experience wearing this shoe to kind of justify my reasoning behind pros and cons of this shoe. I feel like whenever I've gone to the shopping center or any sort of event, I see this 530 shoe everywhere, and for good reason. And that brings me to my first pro. They're very, very light. When I weighed these shoes, they were less than 1 kilo, which is about 2.2 pounds for the Americans watching this video. So they're very light and they're easy to put on. Inherently, because they are light, they are made of very, very thin mesh around the upper here, which makes them very, very breathable. So they're perfect for people in hot climates, like me who lives in Brisbane, Australia, and also people in perhaps Southeast Asian environments. When I went to the Philippines recently in the last couple of months, I saw so many of these 530s on everyone's feet because it's so hot there. Another pro to list is that they are very, very cheap compared to other New Balance models. In Australia, you can find this pair of shoes for $150 Australian, which is less than $100 US. And you can pretty much buy them at any store. You can go to Hype Store, you can go to Foot Locker, you can go to Platypus Store, which are all retailers here in most shopping centers in Australia, and you can pick this shoe up for less than $150. So if you're a parent and wanting to buy your kids another pair of shoes that they can wear for a very long time, I think the 530s are definitely a very good budget model for that. Now, some of the cons or not so positive aspects about it, I don't feel like the traction pattern on these shoes is very, very good. So if you are wanting to wear these in any sort of slippery environments, say perhaps a kitchen or in a factory or something like that, I think that this outsole is definitely one that you're going to have to think about wearing, because there's minimal difference between the lugs and the actual sole, meaning that you almost get a bit of a slick feeling, which isn't very good in slippery situations. There is also little to no weather resistance on this shoe as well. Like I said before, it's very light, it's very breathable, which means that whenever there is any sort of water or rain around, you are going to get it into your shoe and then obviously get your socks wet. So the weather resistance on these is something that I would definitely make people think about if they're wanting to wear these at, say, a festival or something. These are not your shoes. You definitely wouldn't want to be wearing these in any sort of muddy or wet environment because they have little to no protection from the elements. And lastly, the quality on them does seem a little bit shoddy. It's definitely not the most well constructed, but I think that's to be expected because of the price and also the thin materials that cover this shoe. So to sum that up in a nutshell, they are light, they're breathable, they're very comfortable. However, the build quality is not great and you're not going to get a lot of weather resistance. So let's move on to the 740. So the 740 is a model from New Balance that came to prominence towards the end of last year. Something that New Balance do a lot is they will know when a model's time is up. So basically the 2002Rs was a shoe that I considered putting on this list, but New Balance has pretty much moved on from them and have kind of replaced them with other shoes such as the 740 and the 530 like I talked about before. But New Balance is very good at moving on from one shoe and quickly going to the next one, which they did with the 740. They did a collaboration with American rapper Amine on one of his shoes. I also have that one. And now you can pretty much go into all those stores that I listed before and see this shoe for around about 180 to 200 Australian dollars, which is roughly about 120 US dollars. Because New Balance is putting so much effort into this shoe, you can see a ton of different colorways colorways and different materials. So I would say some of the pros on this shoe would be that it is a much thicker material and much thicker padding around the collar and the front of the foot as well. I would also say that the build quality is a little bit better than the 530. The mesh is slightly different. You're getting a little bit of a tighter hold mesh, which does cut down on the breathability, but it does make it feel a little bit stronger and a little bit more sturdier. Another pro that I see of these shoes is that, like I said before, the 530 is very popular. You see it pretty much anywhere. And for those people who are kind of perhaps wanting an edge on those sort of people who wear the same shoes all the time, you can jump onto this 740 model and people can see it and be like, oh, what are those shoes? Those are new. I haven't seen those ones. So you can kind of have, I suppose, an edge. Even though they look sort of similar, I think that they do have a little bit of differences. And you can see that with kind of the sleek lines that you can see on the outer. One of the cons is that they are a little bit heavier than the 530, but that's a bit of a trade-off that you get from getting a bit more of a better build quality. The shoe is going to be a little bit heavier because there's more material on it, and then also is a little bit more weather resistant. One of the other cons that I do see about this shoe compared to the 530 is that I found this shoe a little bit big. So I usually am a size 9, which is a 42.5 euro, and I got this in my true to size, and I felt like I had a little bit extra toe room on this one, and also the other 740 I have from Amine. I felt that I at least could go down half a size and feel a little bit more comfortable. I definitely had to tighten up the laces on this one a bit more. So if you are going to be getting the 740, have in mind that it is a little bit more expensive, the materials are a little bit thicker, but you do get a little bit more of a style edge and a little bit of a fresher take on the New Balance 2000s runners, and you're also probably going to need to size down just a little bit to get your perfect fit. Now let's move on to the 1906R, basically the flagship model in New Balance's runner range. Since the 2002R kind of died off around 2022, the 1906R has come about and has basically taken over, and you've probably seen this shoe in every single store, in every colorway imaginable. They've had so many different collaborations on these. I have lost count. Literally last year, I feel like it was the shoe of the year that people were collaborating on. People like Action Bronson have done different colors and different materials. You've had brands like Climb As You Like, which is a South Korean brand. They did a really nice, almost silicone plastic upper, which added a lot of weather resistance. But all of this to say that this model, the 1906, has become ubiquitous basically with fashion, especially here in Australia. There are so many models of this around. And unlike the other shoes, I'm going to start with the cons. So, because there aren't that many cons, and I think that the major one is the oversaturation of the market. So if you're like me and you're kind of wanting to find a new silhouette or something more exciting to wear that you can jump into and people can be like, oh, that's new, that's different, the 1906 is pretty much everywhere. So that's probably one con that I would say. It's a little bit oversaturated in the market. And because of that, I feel that some of these models, especially new ones, are a little bit more expensive. These ones can go upwards of the $250 range, especially if you're going for a collaboration, but I have seen regular GR models going for that $220, $250 Australian mark, which is around about the 160 to 180 US dollars. So these are the most expensive of the three. However, because these are arguably New Balance's most popular lifestyle runner, I think they put a lot of time and effort into the construction of this shoe, and that kind of justifies that higher expense. Moving on and finishing with the pros, it is very fashionable. This shoe is basically the poster child of the 2000s runner department of New Balance. Another pro is that you have so much variety of this shoe. As I said before, if you want different materials, if you want cutout materials like some of these almost protection pack redefined future style ones, if you want a suede one, if you want ones that are purely mesh runners just like these ones, you are covered. You've basically got every single colorway available for you. So if you're someone who really is very specific in their outfit and they want an exact color to suit that outfit, the 1906 is definitely the shoe for you. The last pro that I will finish with is that they are incredibly comfortable. There's a reason why when New Balance were creating the suede loafer version of this shoe, they decided to go with this outsole, which you've seen on 860 V2s, 2002Rs and 1906Rs. They use this one instead of the Absorb technology that's on the 530, because in my opinion, the NRG pods that run around the back of the shoe here, and also the stability web shank plate that's in the middle, is far superior, and people have gravitated towards this shoe for its comfort, and people are prioritizing that, and that has then turned into more of a lifestyle, fashion style space, and these shoes have really taken over the market and have become New Balance's flagship 2000s retro runner. So I hope you found that a little bit informative. You have the 740, which is a little bit of a mid-range shoe. You have the 530, which is pretty much everywhere and is probably the cheapest and lightweight version of these retro runners. And then you have the 1906R, which is pretty much everywhere and is incredibly fashionable and incredibly comfortable as well. So hopefully some of this information has informed your choice whether you're going to pick up one of these. Let me know which one you prefer to wear, what situations you wear that in. You can let me know on my Instagram as well. It is just down below here. Leave a comment on the video. Please subscribe to the channel, like the video as well. It really does help the channel grow. And I will link all of these products in the description down below so you can check them out for yourself. There will be a bunch of sales on these shoes, so if you're a bit wary and you don't quite know which one to go for, I would recommend going for one that's on sale just so you can feel the difference in each one of the shoes, or just go into a store and try them out for yourself. They are literally everywhere, like I said before. So thank you so much to everybody for watching. Have a good day.